Apparently, our very own JG, Jonathan Gannon, head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, thought about going for 2 last week. Okay, let's talk about it. Key coaching decision from Sunday's 23-20 loss to the Seahawks. JG found himself in one of those classic football debates. Do you go for 2 when you're down 8, or do you kick the extra point? In the end, he went with the traditional call he kicked, right? Chad Ryland made the PAT, made it 20-13. Arizona tied the game on his next drive, but ultimately lost last second to Seattle via field goal. So, was Gannon right to play it safe? Let's break it down, right? On Monday, Gannon said it was about game flow. Quote, I like putting another point on the board and putting it where it was at that point in the game, end quote. In other words, he didn't feel the moment demanded rolling the dice. He wanted to keep his team within striking distance, keep it manageable, and live to fight another drive, right? That's the traditional mindset most NFL coaches have operated under for decades, right? I mean, from way back in the olden days, take the guaranteed point, trust the defense, see where the game goes. But here's where things get kind of interesting. Analytic guys and plenty of fans argue the opposite, right? When you're down 8, that's exactly the time you go for 2. Here's why. If you succeed, that next touchdown puts an extra point, plus an extra point, actually wins you the game. If you fail, you still have another chance later to tie it with a second, with a second 2-point attempt, right? It's not just a theory. Math backs it up. The success rate of a 2-point conversion hovers around 47-50% or so, league-wide, and that's basically a coin flip. So the logic says take your first shot early. If it hits, you're set up to win in regulation. If it misses, you still have a backup to plan and tie. What you're really doing is lowering the odds of the game drifting into overtime, which, especially on the road, often favors the other team. So, to be fair, JG, context always matters. Who's healthy? How's the offensive line holding up? Do you think trust Kyler Murray and Drew Petzing, of all friggin' people, to make the right play call to pick up 2 yards against Seattle defense? These aren't decisions made in a vacuum, and if your run game is sputtering like ours definitely is, or your red zone execution has been shaky like ours has always been, maybe you lean conservative. That's the calculation Gannon is alluding to when he says, quote, some games we might go for it, some we won't, end quote. It's the situational call, not a set philosophy. To me, the bigger takeaway, Gannon's mindset. He's not shutting the door on the analytical movement, right? But he's not fully embracing it either, right? He's trying to straddle that line between old school football instincts and modern probability charts. So, what does that tell you? That tells you we'll probably see him take that aggressive route at some point this season. It just wasn't in week 4 against Seattle. So, was Gannon right or wrong? Depends on your lens. Traditionalists say yes, he kept the game alive. Analytics folks say no. Right? You miss your shot to tilt the odds of winning, and what's undeniable is that these are the kinds of calls that define a coach's reputation over time. And for Gannon, those decisions are only going to get louder the more games like this come down to the wire. So here's the thing, my thoughts on this, like overall, is his philosophy of not going for it, being traditional, right? It goes against what we're kind of used to in the Valley. And I'm not saying like we've always gone for it, we grab your nuts and go. We have not been like that overall. But I have to say, my mind immediately went back to those Bruce Arians Cardinals teams. No risk it, no biscuit was his thing. BA would have gone for 2. I fully believe BA would have gone for 2. He'd have been like, he's an old school guy. He hated raising rookies, which is why he didn't stick around in the Valley. One of the reasons he didn't stick around in the Valley. But, I'm sure was the other one. But that's for a documentary someday. But, he's not one of those analytic guys. He's old school football, and I guarantee you he would have gone for it. I just fully believe he would have. So, just interesting little tidbit there from Jonathan Gannon. I'm looking forward to the situation where he goes, yeah, let's go for 2. Maybe he goes no risk it, no biscuit a little bit here. Big news off the field for the Arizona Cardinals. The team announced plans to build a brand new practice facility in North Phoenix on land that was once targeted for a new Arizona Coyotes arena. This project isn't just about football, it's about growth, investment, setting up, the Cardinals for decades to come. So let's dive into what that means for the team, the community, and the franchise's future. Back in February, right, Cardinals said they were staying in Tempe with a $100 million upgrade to their current training facility, but now it seems like they shifted gears. The team bought 217 acres north of Loop 101, west of Scottsdale Road, for those that know the Valley, for $136 million with the help of Mortensen Development. The site is massive. Like I saw the renderings of it, and I've seen like the plot of it. It's especially compared to the current 14-acre Tempe property, which I drive by literally every single day. The new facility is scheduled to open in 2028. It's going to be 30 acres with 250,000 square feet of space, nearly double what they have now at Dignity Health Training Center, where the team has been since 1989. So why the change? Michael Bidwell, the owner of the Arizona Cardinals, explained the shift in statement saying, quote, "Our goal has always been to provide our players and coaches with the best possible environment to prepare and perform at the highest level," end quote. Michael Bidwell, we saw that report a few years ago that says our facilities were some of the worst, just barely above the Bengals, but all right. I'm be remiss that you've always been, anyway. Sorry, I clown on Michael Bidwell for that kind of ridiculous quote, but he's got to say what he's got to say with his new announcement of the new practice facility, which honestly we really, really need for this team. So after evaluating their options, it seems like the team realized they simply needed more space than what Tempe could offer. That's not a shot at Tempe. It's just Tempe already has a lot of space taken up, right? Most of it taken up by Arizona State University. But either way. But Bill will thank the city for 30 years of support, but the Cardinals want a facility that matches modern NFL standards, more fields, larger weight rooms, better recovery centers, and expanded meeting spaces. Simply put, it's about keeping up with the rest of the league. So Bidwell and Mike, I'm assuming that means you're not going to charge the players for their own food anymore, right? You're gonna just cater, right? Like every NFL team does, right? Silly what things we do in Arizona, but this movie isn't just for football related. It's about economic development. Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego called it a game-changing investment, noting that the energy this project will bring to the North Phoenix area is going to be huge, right? The impact, the economical impact. The facility would be a part of a mixed-use development. Could include restaurants, retail, offices, medical facilities, even residential space. It's a huge, huge spot. So instead of just being a football site, this would be a destination, it seems, something that draws businesses and residents while giving the Cardinals a cutting-edge home base. Think of it as like a football campus, right? The doubles as a community hub. It's going to be weird, but I think it's going to be one of those things where if it's done correct, it's going to be huge, and every other city is going to start copying us, right? It's not just like SoFi Stadium, I think is what they call it, over in LA. It's not like that where it's just for games and that's where they brought in the restaurants and all that. This is a practice facility. It's going to be a destination apart from State Farm Stadium. So, look, Cardinals haven't had much success on the field the past few years, but off the field, this is a statement move in my mind. It's about stability, it's about growth, it's about showing players, coaches, and fans that the organization is serious about building a long-term future in Arizona, which, if you know the whispers in the Valley, there's always been whispers about them, getting bought up and leaving or just leaving or whatever, but luckily, this looks like we're not going to deal with that for quite a while. And facilities matter, man. Just ask free agents and draft picks. A modern state-of-the-art training center can help attract and retain talent. And with the Cardinals investing hundreds of millions, they're putting their money where their mouth is. So, that reminds me of a story which, I don't know all the details about it. I did hear it, secondhand. So take it as you will. But I do remember hearing about certain big name quarterbacks coming to visit the Valley to see if they were going to come here and they saw the practice facilities and just like, nah, forget it, and bailed. So it is what it is. So in 2028, Cardinals are going to enter their long-time Tempe home. They're going to leave the Tempe home behind, and move into this brand new headquarters in North Phoenix. So bigger, better, more advanced, and part of a massive community development. For a franchise looking to change its image both on and off the field, huge step forward in my mind. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like coming up here in 3 years, 2.5 years, two and change years. But it'll be interesting. I'm really curious to see it. Hopefully they offer season ticket holders a tour, because I am one, and I would love to go see it. I'll take time, folks. Look, it's no secret. The Cardinals need backfield help badly and now. James Conner's out for the season. Trey Benson's already banged up. And we're possibly looking at Michael Carter and Mari DeMercado as a starter this Sunday against the Titans, which, other than Jeffrey Simmons, I'm not really afraid of anybody on that team. Let's be real. But anyway, I sat down and I thought about it, and I rattled my brain. Who's a free agent right now that we could possibly look at? Some of y'all are going to think I'm crazy or desperate or both, but let's talk about a name you know very well but haven't heard from in a while. Ezekiel Elliott. Yes, that Zeke Elliott. Zeke isn't the same Pro Bowl running back he was with the Cowboys, but let's not dismiss the idea too quickly, okay? Like I said, Conner's out for the year. The run game is sputtering, and the Cardinals should at least consider signing Elliott. I'll tell you why, right, in my mind. Right now, Arizona is in scramble mode at running back. Michael Carter, again, to the active roster. Dearness Johnson just joined this practice squad, and Trey Benson's still developing, and again, banged up. Didn't practice the last couple of days. I know he didn't practice Monday. Haven't checked the report today, but I'm pretty sure he didn't practice Monday. But the truth is, none of these guys have proven that they can handle a true RB1 workload. So last year, the Cardinals finished 7th in rushing. This year, we plummeted to the bottom of the league or near it. And without Conner's physicality and consistency, there's going to be a huge leadership and production gap. That's where Elliott comes in. He's not a superstar anymore, but he is durable. He is physical, and he's most of all experienced. And at minimum, he provides a steady presence and a shaky backfield. So Zeke's biggest value at this stage of his career isn't rushing for 1,500 yards. It's short yardage, power, and pass protection. He's still one of the best backs in the league at picking up blitzes. For a quarterback like Kyler Murray, who's been under fire when the run game stalls, that's a huge asset in my mind. He's also a red zone hammer. I mean, the Cardinals have struggled to finish drives on the ground. Elliott might not break 50 yards, 50-yard runs anymore, but he can absolutely punch it in from the 3-yard line. I mean, he's a big guy. And don't underestimate the intangible side, right? He's been in playoff games. He's been in big moments. That veteran presence matters for a young roster. So here's the other side of that. Signing Zeke won't break the bank, right? Running back value across the league has dipped majorly, and Elliott is at the stage of his career where a one-year team-friendly deal makes sense for him and for us. So for us, it's a low risk, high reward, and for him, it's a chance to get back in the game, get back on the field, and show another team maybe, or even us, that maybe he still has a couple years left. So the fit is there too. I know Drew Petzing I've said he was trash and he needs to go, but since we still have him, his offense relies on balance. Okay, Murray's Kyler at his best when defenses have to respect the run, right? Right now, opponents don't fear Arizona's backfield, right? I wouldn't either. No James Conner? All right, cool. But if you add Zeke and suddenly defenses have to prepare for a guy who can wear them down between the tackles, that changes how teams have to game plan against us. So timing is everything. Cardinals are 2-2, right in the middle of the pack. They're not tanking, but they're not elite either. Adding Elliott gives us a stability and keeps us competitive in the season where the NFC wildcard spots are wide open and up for grabs. If you want to stay in the hunt, you can't ignore opportunities like this in my mind. So should the Cardinals sign Zeke Elliott? Absolutely worth considering, okay? He won't be the Zeke of old, but as a short yardage back, a pass protector, and a veteran presence, he could be exactly what we need. We'll see. Hopefully we at least get to take a look at him. Sometimes the smartest moves aren't flashy. They are practical. And Zeke could be just that for the Arizona Cardinals. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like here. But it'll be interesting to see if we even look at Zeke Elliott. I hope they do. I like to think Monty Ossenford kicks the tires on everything, but we'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't be mad if that happens. All right. No comments tonight, folks. We're gonna let those pile up a little bit. But don't worry, fellow who got his feelings hurt about my Bad Bunny hot take. I'll get back to you tomorrow. By the way, that's why it's called a hot take, pal. All right. Go sit down somewhere with that. All right. Don't get your feelings hurt so easy. It's really, really weird and really odd that almost seemed like you almost cried in the comment. But hey, I am an equal opportunity comment poster. So I'll put your comment on here. We'll talk about it. Why not? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was right. We'll see what everyone else thinks. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Law. Don't forget to hit that sub, hit that bell, hit that like, leave a comment. I'll see y'all tomorrow. A couple more days till game day. Go Cardinals. Let's do this thing. All right, and let's hope Trey Benson practices because Carter and Mercado starting, at least it's the Titans. But man, be weird. Call Zeke Elliott, Monty. Call him.